Hi, I'm Dr. Holliday with IndyDirect Docs, and whether you have gone back to work or you're still working from home, you probably have been wondering about ways where at the last minute you need to pull together a quick meal. What I find is that a lot of my patients, when they think quick meal, they either think of very highly processed food or they go and they get fast food. So I was going to show you some things that you can either keep at your office or keep at your house to throw together a meal that has protein and vegetables and you can do very, very quickly. So I have 10 ingredients and I'm doing a series where I'm making 5 different meals from a couple of these different ingredients. So let's talk about the ingredients. So what we have here is canned crushed tomatoes, canned coconut milk, canned tuna, shredded cheese, frozen edamame, frozen butternut squash noodles, frozen broccoli, frozen chicken that has already been cooked, and a mixture of frozen peppers and onions. And then last is a dressing that is cilantro lime ranch dressing. So today we're gonna put it all together and we're gonna make butternut squash chicken spaghetti. So we're gonna cook it in this Tupperware because that's what you would have if you were at your office. And let's get our ingredients together. So we're gonna do the butternut squash noodles. We're gonna do the cooked chicken, the crushed tomatoes, and then to flavor it, we're gonna do the onions and the peppers together. So I am going to cook the chicken and the butternut squash noodles first. Whenever you are cooking something in the microwave, I wouldn't do it at first for longer than 2 minutes because you never know when something is gonna overcook or explode. So we'll put them together and we will do it on 2 minutes and then check it out. So I'm just breaking up my butternut squash noodles a little bit because they'll cook a little bit faster and a little bit better if we do it like that. So let's do the 2 minutes. If you've never heard of veggie noodles, it's a newer thing that's becoming more and more popular. There's a piece of kitchen equipment called a spiralizer. So a lot of people will use it with fresh vegetables and some fruits also. The most common vegetables are gonna be zucchini. Zucchini, I would say, is the most common one, and some people will refer to that as zoodles. Sweet potatoes, also very common. Butternut squash, just regular potatoes, beets, and parsnips. Those are the main ones that I've seen. I've also seen somebody do it with apples. I personally have never tried it with apples, but I hear that it's a very fun and interesting way to kind of liven up a fruit that might have gotten boring for you. You can buy, obviously, some of these vegetable noodles frozen. I kind of went back and forth for my 10 ingredients as to whether or not I was going to do zoodles frozen or I was going to do the butternut squash frozen. The reason that I didn't do the zoodles frozen is because when you cook them after they've been frozen, they're very, very mushy. I do prefer zoodles. That's my favorite spiralized vegetable when you do it fresh, and you can actually spiralize very, very quickly. And you just cook it like in a tablespoon of oil, not very much oil at all, and you cook it for about 2 minutes. But as far as the frozen is concerned, I went with the butternut squash because it's a little bit hardier, and so after it cooks here, it's not going to be mushy and it's still going to hold up and have a nice texture. Obviously, vegetable noodles do not taste like pasta, okay? But I find that after you've eaten them for a while, you figure out the good mixtures with them, how you like your sauce and meats and vegetables and other things mixed in with them. And it is a fun way to throw in extra vegetables. And I find that I don't feel quite as heavy as I do after I eat a lot of pasta. I have trained myself to try to eat smaller portions of pasta when I do eat it because it does make me feel heavy and it's not quite as healthy. But as far as like vegetable noodles are concerned, you can have a larger portion of it because it's your vegetables. So that is kind of like one added benefit of doing the vegetable noodles instead of just your regular pasta. I'm doing canned crushed tomatoes. You could do tomato sauce, but I like the crushed tomatoes because of the texture. It's just a little bit more hearty, and that's what I like about it. It does not have any flavoring in it. That's a good amount for me. That's what I like. And so that's why I'm adding in the frozen peppers and onions. I'm just gonna get a napkin real quick to get some of that tomato sauce off. So that's why I'm including the peppers and onions. If you look and you ever read the ingredients of a spaghetti sauce that you would buy from the store, a lot of times it honestly does have peppers and onions in it. So that's how we're gonna flavor this guy up. And I'm just gonna give it a mix because when stuff is mixed in, it cooks a little bit more thorough and a little bit better. So let's just give it a quick mix. And then I'm gonna put it in the microwave for another minute and check it. I bet that it will take another 2 to 2.5 minutes for this to cook through. But kind of like I said, once you do that initial 2-minute cook, you do want to not maybe do for longer than a minute, because you never know when it might explode on you. Not that I've ever had that happen to me before, certainly not. So we're just gonna do it for another minute, and then we'll check on it, and then we'll go from there. Obviously, if you're at your house and you have your regular spices that you always use, you can throw in things like garlic, like basil, like parsley, like oregano, to make it more like a pasta sauce. If you are at your job, really the only thing that you might have around is just salt. I think that using a pinch or two of salt when you're cooking is perfectly fine. I know a lot of people get kind of nervous as far as salt is involved. If they're wondering, you know, does my doctor say, can I add it? Can I not add it? As long as you don't have something like high blood pressure or heart disease, if you have either one of those conditions, I can't really give you a recommendation. That would have to come from your personal physician. But for your average person, the ways that we get high amounts of salt are from canned food and from fast food and from highly processed food. When we're cooking foods from fresh ingredients, adding just a pinch or two of salt is gonna be perfectly fine. So let's check it. It's been about a minute. Like I said, I'm kind of expecting to have to cook it for another minute. Let's give it a stir. That way everything that's at the bottom can come more towards the top. But it's starting to smell and look good. And look at how much food this is. This is so much food. It's gonna be so filling, which is really, really important when you're trying to eat healthy, is that you feel full. So we're just gonna do another minute. Is that you feel full, because one downfall of a lot of people when they're trying to eat healthy is they'll eat like a salad or something like that, and they'll eat a really small portion, and they'll feel hungry again an hour later, and then they just go kind of rummaging through their candy drawer, and then they eat candy, and then all of a sudden their what they have eaten is no longer healthy. So gonna give it about another 30 seconds. So I am gonna top it off with a little bit of cheese. Cheese is something that can be healthy as long as you do it in moderation. Cheese has fat in it, and fat is not something that we have to stay away from if we are able to do it in moderation. Fat leaves our stomach a little bit slower than carbs do, so it makes it where we don't feel hungry again quite as soon, and we feel there's a word that we use sometimes called satiated, which is just kind of like satisfied, meaning, you know, after you eat it, you're like, that was good, I enjoyed that, and I don't feel like I have to go rummaging through my candy drawer just to feel satisfied. So again, we're just gonna add just a little bit of salt to this delicious dish that we have made just in our microwave, and then just a little bit of cheese. About that much, really not much at all. And I'm just gonna sprinkle it on top. If you wanted to add it back into the microwave for another 30 seconds, you definitely could do that. But I am just gonna mix it in and give it a taste. It's pretty good.